There are a lot of different ideas, thoughts, and philosophies on cattle handling and stockmanship. And we're going to talk about horsemanship, four-wheelers, and footwork to try to get the proper pressure applied at the right time. So the very basics of cattle handling are understanding flight zones and balance point. When we talk about flight zone, that's the distance that causes an animal to flee. But what we want to do is create a movement at the right angle with the right amount of intensity to get that animal to move off smoothly. The balance point is where you place yourself on the side of the animal to get them to move forward or slow down or stop or turn away. So when we're talking about what to use to get into those zones, a four-wheeler, a horse, or a foot, there are different ideas, different thoughts that should apply. On foot is probably the easiest and the best, but not always the most appropriate for the situation. When we talk about a four-wheeler, it has real easy capability to go forward, fast, slow, or medium, and stop and back up, but you can't take it sideways. Some horses are real good to go fast forward and you can't stop them or whatever. So however well your horse is trained, you can get that to whatever level you'd like to take it. The more experience you have as a stockman, you learn to read the animals and immediately change to what they will work best at. They will tell you by their reaction to you how to change to fit what they need. Then you can increase your angles, sharpen your angles, slow your speed down or speed it up. Once we get cattle trusting us, it's real important not to make loud noises, fast moves or whatever to disrupt or to break that trust. I'm a horseback guy. So naturally, I'm going to think the horse is the best way to go about things because that's what I know, that's what I grew up with, and that's what I understand. To me, the same philosophies of getting a horse good to ride and good to work with are the exact same philosophies that it takes to be a good stockman with handling cattle. Different cattle that have been handled differently require different kinds of pressure to get them to work. And it's our job to read the animals to know what kind of pressure they need. We're going to gather some yearling cattle here that have been handled a lot of horseback. They've been moved, there have just been bulls turned in with them, and we'll just have to see what kind of pressure it takes to get those cattle to working for us. Now with yearling cattle, they will get trotty if you're not careful. And what happens a lot of times is they'll get up to you and they'll get used to you and they'll forget about you, and then you make a big move or something scares them and then it goes through them real quick. And then they all want to run. So constant pressure or a steady pressure is important as well. When I'm working with a crew or somebody else, whether I'm kind of in charge and the boss or I'm working for somebody, I feel the best way I can work is to watch everybody else and figure out where to put my pressure on in accordance to where they are. There's no way I can communicate with the folks on the four-wheelers, the quads, or the side-by-sides. I probably can't communicate with somebody horseback very far away from me unless we have radios. I don't like radios because people quit thinking for themselves and they ask whoever has the radio. So everybody needs to understand their purpose to get cattle to move in the direction we want them to go. And then we try to adjust our position to help the other person and not stop the flow of cattle. We're going to head down and get these cattle started out of the brush and out of the trees, which is a great place when you're horseback because you can maneuver around through them real easy and it's ravines or whatever. And the folks on the machines, they're going to go up in the more open country and cover more country for us. The main goal is to get the cattle started right. The way they start is the way they move, and the way they move is the way they stop and settle when you get them moved. And that's what our goal will be, to get cattle moved properly. At some point, they're going to start moving away from us, and I want to make sure they're looking in the direction I want them to go, and the approach and the angle I take might be very helpful in getting that. I don't want to surprise them. As I step in here now, I'll get them to move. I want them to move, 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 and we're a little bit close. I want her just to step away and walk off. So I'll continue on with her. I'm going to come up her eye. Good. Switch eyes. Now we'll start with these other cattle. And we'll just help them to move up out of this draw. We'll just ask them to move on away from us. They want to turn and look at us, but I'll ask them to move right on and go up to these other cattle. I'm going to send these cattle right in, and we're going to have a real nice flow going up that draw. Now right here, I'm going to keep a straight line. I'm not going to ride around behind these cattle. I'm going to ride right to them, like I'm going to ride right through them. Slow down just a bit so this one can come. I'll speed right up. I'm going to go right through here. I'm going to leave her, come by. Now they're going to come back to me. I'm going to turn around and ride right back across them again. I'll turn and ride back across this way. Now I got movement. I should be able to stop, turn, and walk right to her, and she should turn and go with the other cattle. And I'll just go with her. I'm not going to go right up beside her. I'm going to go right out across behind her. I'm going to straighten out here. These cattle out here, I'm just going to come out wide. I'll come out wide. She should turn and go. Oh, she saw another rider. Now, I can't control what anybody else is doing. They're doing what they think they should do. And it probably, from where they're at, it probably is what they should do. All I can do is try to see how things are shaping up and position myself to not stop movement, but create movement and create direction. So right here, I'm going to get right to the front of these cattle. We got lots of movement behind, and then I'll control their flow. Right here, I can step into these cattle and control their flow across this draw. I'll send them, send them, send them. I'll just send them right on down. I don't have to do much here at all. Just stay out of their way and keep moving to keep them going back down that draw. So I'll ride here, turn, turn, good. I'll ride right straight across these cattle. I'm going to ride right the length of all of them. That'll create this movement. This movement ought to move forward. Now I got to step out to my right to draw this one back. As soon as she turns back and looks at me, I just ride right straight forward, and that should send her on down. I got a four-wheeler coming down, or side by side coming down through the draw. Good. Now that we got some flow going, we don't want to stop our flow. We want to just keep it flowing. Keep that movement going. When the cattle are working, I'll let them do their work. Now, we can't be afraid of cattle getting ahead of us. That's what makes us never let cattle get movement going. So if they're kind of going the wrong direction here, that's all right. As I step right in front here and hook these yearlings on, now Tammy can go right down along those cattle. And they're hooked on to me, and she'll send them all right to me. Now I'm in a position here to hold them up. I can let them move, whatever. But now I'm in control of this herd. from the front by hooking them on and getting out in front. I got my four-wheelers in the back. So by me hooking these cattle on and riding up here where I can draw these cattle's eye and have them look at me and bring them to me. They want to look at me with both eyes. I can kind of sidle my horse out here, and now I can control their direction, their speed. If I want them to come by me to my right, I can go right here, and I can send these cattle by. I can send them by to my right and start them off that direction. Just get them started, and then step down and just keep these cattle going. With my four-wheelers can just come in and keep my back coming, and I'll just stay right here. I can control their flow out of here. I can tell them to go fast or walk or stop. I can control their speed as they go. We'll just get them started here. If I get too far down here, I'll lose control of my lead. Right there, now we're learning, now these heifers are learning to follow a field or a leader. As long as my back end keeps the cattle coming, I can control the front out here. And if I'd like, I can turn them right back around and we'll head right back to the camera, to the hill where the cameras are. And so I'll just go here, I'll send. Now my crew, they have no idea what I'm doing. So they're just going to follow my lead. Now I should be able to turn my herd by riding in behind them. They should turn to the left. If I want to straighten them out and take them to the camera, I'll get them turned to the right. They're going to string right here. Now that I got my direction looking real nice, I'm going to ride straight out. If I ride up these cattle's side, I'm going to slow their movement down. So if I ride straight out here, I'm going to turn these in. Right about here, I can turn back in. The leaders told me that, and that caused these to turn and walk up. Now right here, all I'm doing is pointing my nose of my cattle up the hill towards the cameras. Good, now we have nice movement started again. This is the way I like to see cattle flow. I know they're going to want to drift up this draw. I'll be right here to send them right on past. And right here, I'm going to come again, and I'll draw them right to me here. Go ahead and get them behind you, Tammy. It's hard to drive cattle up a hill, but I think we can get her done. We'll change our mind by riding back and forth. We can change our mind. I'll come back this way. I'll ride right against these cattle, which should send them right up through here. And I'll use this little bunch here. I'll ride right straight across through these. Sand. Now I got lots of movement on my outside, so I'm going to ride straight out here and turn my lead just a little bit and push them right there. Now we got them headed towards the camera again. Once we get that direction or that flow, I don't want to do anything to stop that. So right here, we send them right up the hill. We're kind of going to the left just a little too far. I'll come in behind them. Now I could have some help, but if I step in behind them here, it should draw these cattle towards the camera to my right. There's an old horseman that had a saying that when you're riding your horse, you ought to feel like you can ride him up a telephone pole or down a gopher hole. When you handle cattle right, you get proper movement, and you learn to work, we should have the same feeling with cattle. You can take them from anywhere, put them anywhere, turn them around and bring them anywhere else. With yearlings, cows, and calves, once they understand, or once you understand how to position yourself to let the flow of the cattle work for you, it makes cattle handling a lot of fun and real good work. Safe, effective stockmanship, that's what it's all about.